Hello and welcome everybody, it's Karen. Thank you for stopping by today. I have got this beautiful new paper collection from Paper Rose Studio. It's called Joy to the World and it's just a beautiful Christmas collection. Now if you don't want to see it, skip ahead to the 2 minutes and 19-second mark and I will meet you there for a couple of fun cards to make that could be used for any paper collection. But as you can see from this one, these are the 12 by 12 papers. They are all double-sided. There's lots of images in here that could just be the focal points of any card, or even, I was thinking like a picture for home decor around Christmas time. They're really beautiful images. So this is the Joy to the World collection that I'm showing you here. All the colors coordinate together so beautifully. So there it is, the Joy to the World, but there's also the Joy to the World Basics collection that coordinates with this as well and sort of supports those other images. So here's a look at this collection. There's lots of linen and stars. There's the music score on that one. Here's some stars. I use this one actually in my card today. And Christmas flowers. And then some more linen backgrounds, some beautiful images here with all the music score in the background. Candles on the back. Here's the three wise men, and then on the other side it's a blue linen sort of background. Some blue stars here and a nativity scene on the back. So that's the Joy to the World Basics. And I've also got the cut-aparts. Now, there are 3 sets of 6 different designs that come in this collection. It's on very thick cardstock. It's not perforated, so you either have to fussy cut these out or use a die for some of them, sort of circles or rectangles, a few squares perhaps. But lots of supporting images here to coordinate with those papers, and the same color theme, of course. So these are the, well, actually those images there could be on a regular Christmas card. It doesn't have to be a nativity scene. So that's a look at that collection, and here is my first card for today. Now, I was inspired by videos that I will link below. Iced Images had one where she did a pop-up gingerbread house. That is really what inspired me. But then I saw this other video by somebody, her channel is called Crafting with Quilling Lady, so I'll link to that below. Now, I'm using thick 120-pound cardstock. I've got a 6-inch tall by 7-inch wide piece of card. I'm scoring it at 1.5 inches and 5.5 inches. Now I corner rounded this image. It's a 4x6 image, and I'm just penciling in where that corner is. I couldn't get my corner chomper in there. Now I'm going to cut an angle. You can make whatever angle you want. All I did is I traced it on one side, and then I fussy cut this out. And then save that piece that you're cutting out, because we're just going to flip that over on the other side and do the mirror image of it so that both sides are the same angle. It's by far the easiest way to do that instead of measuring. So you could just put this down and pencil in your line. I'm pretty lazy, so I'm just going to hold it in place and I just cut that angle on this side. And I really just cut up to that center or that score line, and then I cut around where I had traced before. Now I've cut slightly narrower than 1.5 inch strips from that dark blue cardstock. I'm holding that in place and I'm going to pencil where this angle goes and then just cut that out, and I did the same for the other side as well, just flipped it around. Now we can fold these side flaps in. So they're both mountain folds. They're both going to fold to the center of the card, and just give those a really good burnish. And then I can attach this image to the inside, and the same with these 2 flaps that we've already cut. Now for these little boxes, I just used scraps that I had in my cards, in my stash of white cardstock. So one of mine is 1.25 by 4. I did make them both the same length. So 1.25 by 4, and I'm scoring it 1/2 inch, 2 inches, and 2.5 inches. And I did that for both. So the second piece is only 1 inch tall. So I just varied the height of my boxes, but we're going to just fold all of these into mountain folds, and you want to give them a good burnish so they're going to fold properly. And I did the same for both of them. Now to attach these, I put some glue on that small tab, and I'm going to put that tab right into that fold line and line it up along the bottom, because these boxes actually help to hold this card up in standing. So you want it right along the bottom. And I'm making sure that I can fold that left flap up and over. Although I didn't right here, and you'll see what I did wrong. So yeah, I'm putting glue now on the larger rectangle on the back. I've folded that right in half. And now when I go to fold this down, it's pushing on that side flap and it won't go. So all you have to do if this happens is just trim off a little tiny sliver off this piece here. Just like that. Now keep the box folded in half and just fold the flap up and over, and it's going to be in exactly the right spot. So once again, I'm putting glue on that small narrow rectangle flap, putting that right into the fold line and along the bottom edge, making sure that that right flap will fold over and that it's straight and parallel to that bottom edge there. And then you can just fold that box in half and put glue on that larger rectangle. So I did check this one to make sure it would go over, and there was no problems with it, so I know it's going to fit. And then just press that down in place. And I usually give these side folds another burnish. They could use it for sure. So there are my two little, well, pens, I guess those are, for my animals. Now I took this piece of wood grain paper from the Christmas tree farm. I flipped it over. I just cut a strip that was 1.5 inches, and I flipped it over so I could mark where to cut it. And then I've just cut little panels to fit over those boxes to make them look a bit more like a pen. Now I used doubled up foam tape, double-sided foam tape for my animals. I wanted them to stick out a little bit more into the center of those boxes so they weren't pressed to the back wall. And so that's why I did it. If you don't want the bulk, you for sure don't have to do this. Just glue them in. Now, I felt they looked a little bare, and I wanted a bit of straw. So this is the handle from a paper bag, I think, and I just cut it off to be the width of that pen, and I'm unraveling it. You could use any colored natural straw paper for this. Honestly, it does not have to be this, but all I did is I cut a little fringe with my scissors, just little slits in this up and down. And then I've put glue on the front of it, and I'm pressing it into my box, and then I will press the box down onto it to pick it up, and then I just folded those fringes over so that it looked like a bit of a bed of straw. Now the angel I've also popped up on foam tape, and again, you don't have to do that. I just like that she had a bit of dimension. And I'm just positioning her so she doesn't interfere with that right fold line, and she's not obscuring my sentiment up there. Now to finish this off, I've got a little bit of white acrylic paint, and I'm adding a bit of water to that paint to thin it out a little bit so it wasn't quite so harsh. And then I'm just going to mimic that sky, you know, adding a few stars and dots on the sides. So that's all I'm doing here, just trying to mimic what was already on the paper. And so that's my finished card. I thought that was really quite fun. Now it stands up really well. You can see there is that bulk from that foam tape there. So you could definitely take that out. You can write on the back. I am going to cover these side flaps. I think they just need it on the back, and it sort of bothers me when I look at it now. Okay, so here's another idea. This is a 5.5 inch square card. I've kept the front really, really simple. I've used the Christmas tree farm for this, and here is the inside. The inside is where all the fun happens, and so this is the kind of card that I think will be displayed opened up. It sort of wants to pop open anyway. You can write on either those side panels at the front, or you could write on the back of the card. But it really is kind of a fun dimensional card, and not too hard to make. So I decided I wanted to use this piece of paper, or this image, and that would be in the center of my card. Now I'm doing a 5 by 7 inch card for this one. And this was my largest arch die. Now it just wasn't going to be big enough to expose very much of that image. So I have got a piece of copy paper that is 5.5 by 7 inches. and I'm going to make my own arch. So I've picked a circle die that's a bit bigger than my largest arch die, and I'm just tracing around on the top part of that circle. And then I will go straight down from there. Now, I did make this a 5.5 by 7-inch piece of copy paper for a reason, and that's because the final pattern paper will be the same size. So I'm just drawing this arch, filling it in, and I tried to center this from top to bottom. So keep that in mind if you do this. Now, you don't have to do an arch. You could do a rectangle, you could do a circle, you could do whatever you want. I just like the arch for a Christmas themed card. So this is what I was left with once I had cut that out. Now this is what is actually going to be on the card itself, this piece right here. So I was just checking to make sure that enough of that image was exposed, and I have another 5.5 by 7-inch piece of the pattern paper. This is from the Basics collection. And I'm scoring this at 1/4 inch and 5 1/4 inches. And then I'll score right down the center at 2 3/4 inches. And then this will get folded in half, just like we did with the copy paper. And then what I did is, after burnishing it, I put the two folds together on the arch itself and that pattern paper. And I lined this up from top to bottom as well. And then I just took my pencil and traced around that arch so I would know where to cut this paper out. And then I just fussy cut this out. So there's what I was left with. Now this little tab we're going to fold down to the back. So that's a mountain fold. We're just folding it under and giving it a good burnish, and then we'll put some double-sided adhesive on those flaps on both sides. Now from vellum, it should have been a 4.5 by 7-inch piece of vellum. Mine's a bit short, but I had that and I just decided to use that piece of vellum. But normally if you cut it to be 7 inches tall, it would be just the right height inside. Now for this, I did use the largest die. Because it was vellum, you can still see some of that image through. I scored it at 1/4 inch from each edge, and then also down the center, so at 2 1/4 inches. And so that's going to sit right behind my pattern paper. Now, this is going to fit right down the center of the card, the inside of the card, so I have to score this at 2 inches. So try not to look at what I am scoring there, but it had to be done. And then this is going to fold in half, and you want to give that a really good burnish. And now I've got the fold line of that image into the center fold of my card, and I'm adding some glue. And you want to really push this into that center fold. So I'm pulling this left side up and pushing that image into the fold line, and then picking it up where it needs to be. Now on this side, I'm going to add glue to the flap, or to the image as well. But I also add a little bead of glue right down that center fold line, because that's where it's going to lift, if it's going to lift at all. So it'll be right in the fold line. So I'm just adding some glue there. And then I flatten it out and really press that down. And now you have to, once that glue is dry, then you have to fold this again and burnish it. It's like you're retraining that paper. So now when I open it, it's right in the fold. It's not bubbling up or anything. Now I've taken the release paper off one flap of this vellum piece, and I've added glue just to give myself a bit more wiggle room. And then I'm going to line up those center fold lines. So the center fold on the card and the center fold on the vellum. And once I have it where I want it, I'm going to just let that right side go down. And I'll press that in place. So hopefully you can see here that those fold lines are all lining up together. That's what you want to make sure is happening. So again, on the left side, I've taken the release paper off, I've added some glue, and I'm just flattening the whole card out and pressing that down wherever it's going to end up. And then I give all of this a good burnish just for that double-sided tape. And now, just like any paper card, you have to sort of retrain this to go where it needs to go. So my vellum was actually quite a thick vellum, and it was a bit stiff and awkward at going back into this folded out shape, but it does it. And there you can see that sort of box shape. So now exactly the same process with this pattern piece of paper. I'm I've got glue on the right side and I've taken the release paper off. I'm lining up all those fold lines and then just pressing it down wherever it's going to end up. And again, the same thing on this left-hand side. And this one, it's easy because you're just pressing it down flat. And again, you're just going to have to make sure it all goes, folded down flat the way it's meant to go. You only need to do it this 1 or 2 times and then it does it perfectly. So that's the inside part, and then all that's left is to decorate it. So here is the front of my card. I've used this other image, the peace sentiments and an angel and star, and the inside I've just added some more of the cut aparts and little thin gold strips along the edges, just to kind of finish off that inside pop-up. But it stands up so beautifully, and honestly I think this is the kind of card that really will be displayed open, so I don't think you need to worry too much about the front of the card. So I hope that's given you guys a little inspiration on how to use this paper collection. It really, really is a beautiful paper collection for Christmas. Thank you so much, everybody, for stopping by. I hope you're having a great day, and I will talk to you again next time. Bye.